little girl, I used to dream of living this way.
Must be in here. You see the dead flies in the lamp. Fake flowers. Hope you got over that.
Mr. Grant will be right with you.
Actually, we were hoping to speak with Lady Harrington.
He said he'll be right with you.
Are you, Elena Arsenas? Can we talk to you a minute about those papers you signed for Lady Harrington? We won't tell Mrs. Sherrill.
They just told me to sign.
Do you know what you signed?
The woman before me, she asked questions. She was fired.
Do you know her name?
Birdie?
Thank you, Elena. Detectives, sorry you've wasted your time. My mother can't be seen.
Well, she's indisposed. I don't know.
She's old, she's frail, but she still has her pride. But she would never want strangers to see her this way. Detective, what are you doing?
Inge, remember when we were talking about terracotta tile?
Yes.
Italian marble inlay.
He's a tile buff.
Oh, that's right. No, detective, I have to ask you not to disturb my mother.
Grant was just a little too concerned with shutting the door.
You can't come in here.
You know, actually, this home reeks of everything but concern.
What do you think you're doing? What? No, you can't touch her.
Stop it. Look, she is clearly dehydrated.
I didn't realize you were a doctor, detective.
This is how you treat your mother? She's flush, her skin is dry. We're going to need an ambulance.
You have no right to barge in here and start demanding ambulance.
I'd shut up if I were you.
Detectives, get out of my home.
You have to shut up, so sit down and shut up!
This is Detective Bean's major case. We need an ambulance at the Harrington residence on Park Avenue.
No, Bridie, not Birdie. Annette. I was Mrs. Harrington's personal assistant for many years. How is she? I read in the paper that when you found her, the poor woman was near death.
Potassium levels were in the twos.
She's on diuretics. They must not have given her the potassium supplement. Is she okay now?
She's made a remarkable comeback.
She always was a fighter. Were they trying to hasten her death?
Grant and Cheryl fired the home care worker. They blame it all on her.
Well, of course they do.
Do you mind me asking why they let you go?
I overstepped my bounds. Mr. and Mrs. Harrington wanted me to witness a deal transferring Lady Virginia's Westport estate.
But you knew that she loved her home and you refused to sign.
Right. So they fired me. I stirred that pot good. That whole family. Except for poor Isabel.
Oh, Bridie, you don't seem shy. When you knew she was being mistreated, why didn't you tell someone?
I did. I told Isabel 3 months ago.
And what did she do?
She told me she was going to go public with an article. An expose of the Harrington family.
The Harringtons can't have been too happy about that.
I promised her I'd keep it a secret.
Thank you.
Death or loss was ransacked. Whoever killed her didn't want the family's dirty laundry aired.
Well, her laptop may be gone, but if she did any research online, we may be able to find it through her server.
Any luck?
Everything Isabel Googled in the last 6 months.
I thought she was doing an expose on her family. How much research did she need to do?
Well, these searches somewhere about Lady Harrington's medication, but she was also looking into the death of her mother, Lizzie Harrington, 18 years ago.
Her mother, how did she die?
Or according to her obituary, a heart arrhythmia. She was 28.
Seems awfully young.
Isabel's search engine also showed inquiries about the medications Mellaril and Hismanol.
Mellaril was used in the 80s. It's an antipsychotic.
So, researching old drugs and her mother's death. Have Rogers take a look at her mother's autopsy report.
There was no autopsy. Lizzie Harrington died in the emergency room. Her EKG showed an arrhythmia. A week later, a tox report was filed in her medical records. No one ever looked at it until Isabel requested them about 3 months ago.
Let me guess. Lizzie had Mellaril and Hismanol in her system.
Well, antipsychotic with that antihistamine, that's a lethal combination.
Would that have been common knowledge at the time?
Oh, definitely. No doctor would have prescribed them together, and no doctor should have attributed her death to natural causes.
Detectives, we're grateful to you for saving Lady Harrington, but these questions, they border on harassment.
You don't know what's going on here, do you? I mean, between your first wife's overdose, your mother's neglect, your daughter's murder, you are at best looking like the angel of death.
Okay. When Isabel was born, Lissy became depressed, weepy, angry.
Postpartum? Isabel was 7 when Lissy died.
That's correct. It was 7 years of hell.
Hell for you, hell for her. I mean, how about your wife? Did you get her help?
I did everything I could. Doctors, therapy, medicated her with Meloril. That's an antipsychotic. It was the only thing that worked. She had become delusional and paranoid.
Delusional, paranoid. But that's, your diagnosis, the doctor's, whose?
Maybe he gave her something to be paranoid about. Cheating?
So she was paranoid about the money. Lissy grew up worse than hand-to-mouth, and she was afraid the money wouldn't last.
Or was she suspicious of you managing the family finances?
Not of me, Detective. Of Ernest and my mother. She wanted me to cut them off.
Their charitable contributions.
Experimental theater for Ernest, and for Mother, museums, parks, and historic preservation.
So Lissy was depressed for 7 years, and then one night, she takes an overdose of her meds. Where were you?
On a boat in the Galapagos.
Nice.
Well, that's convenient. Yet you know it was a suicide.
It was the holidays. She had been drinking. Her maid came home, found her passed out, called my mother. They took her to the ER, and unfortunately, it was too late.
Your wife on any other medications other than the Meloril? She have allergies?
No.
What about you, Grant? You allergic to anything?
No, Detective, I have no allergies. I'm sorry to inform you that this was a suicide.
My son, Grant.